Forgot to add myself for 1 second. First day with the new theme song. That is one of the dopest theme song, Michael Jackson type theme songs. Paulie, shout out to you. Thank you for making that, bro. That thing is outstanding. I've been showing everybody and anybody that'll listen to that for the 30 seconds that it lasts. That song is just so effing good. And it just gets me hyped up. So, gonna let the chat come in. I'm gonna let people come into the chat as we are on time as usual, kicking off what is going to be mostly a New York Knicks Cleveland Cavaliers preview for the series coming up for the Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks will be hosting, having home court advantage throughout the East Finals. In my lifetime, I've only seen this twice, so it's going to be outstanding to watch this team protect home court, protect the Garden. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m., Cavs Knicks. We're going to get into it. We're going to do a deep dive of the series. We're also going to do a preview of the better matchups in the entire series. I'll give you guys a top 10 list of who I think are the best players in the series and what my final prediction of this series will be. Also kind of a nice. Also, I have the Met game on too. Mets are up 4-3 in the top of the sixth. Yesterday's hero, Tyrone Taylor, continuing his dominance as he has his second hit of the night tonight. But we will be going over the previous couple of series with the Knicks, what I think the most dominant parts of the of the teams will be going into the final round here. And then hopefully after that, the Knicks are headed to their first NBA Finals in 26 years. 26 years for the New York Knicks since they got into their last NBA Finals. So just going to hold on for a couple of minutes and set up the stream. If you guys could let me know volume-wise, if the mic sounds good. I was having a little trouble with the microphone volume for a couple of videos, so I just want to make sure that I'm not too loud or too low. I want to make sure that this thing is actually working. I know the New York Knicks fan itself is like split down the middle, like 50-50 on their enthusiasm level, because a lot of people don't know whether they want to get too excited for this Knicks team yet or kind of just really, really understand that this Knicks team is very good. This Knicks team is very, very good. We saw what happened with Detroit last night in Game 7, so we'll get into that as well. First of all, let me get into the sponsor of the stream, do some house cleaning first. Sponsor of the stream that keeps this thing rolling, NBA Top Shot. So, I mean, if you're into, you see what I'm pulling up here. NBA Top Shot is the digital form of collecting cards. It's the digital form of the future. It is not collecting physical copies of cards anymore. I know people still love that stuff. But if you're into that, this will be the future over the next 50 to 100 years, way after we're off this planet. This is the type of stuff that's going to happen. You look, you could buy cards, you could sell cards. You have a market here. I have my own collection. There's updates daily on these cards, and there's so many things you could do with them. Like if you just click, and the best part about it is they give you these highlight reels. Once you buy them, you could buy, sell, trade. These cards do have actual currency, as you could see here. They do get sold daily. You could see upwards of $65. You could see upwards of $10, or something as simple as $2. So NBA Top Shot, pretty much the future of collecting cards. Not just NBA, the NFL has it. A bunch of places are moving in this direction as well. So that's where we stand with that. So thank you to the sponsor of the stream, NBA Top Shot. Paulie, what's going on, man? Thank you for stopping in. So just getting straight into going back to the first series with the Knicks and the Hawks. The Knicks haven't played a basketball game in 10 days. Paulie says, new Larry Johnson moment coming out in 2 days. Grandmama, if you're unfamiliar with Larry Johnson, he is the New York Knickerbocker that hit the famous 4-point play at Madison Square Garden in the late 90s to tie the game up. Knicks were down by 4, hit the clutch free throw to tie it up. That is one of the more famous moments in Knicks history at Madison Square Garden especially. So outstanding. The 4-point play is the one that will be coming out. That'll be a dope card to own if you're going to be into that stuff. Even if you're not a New York Knicks fan, that'll be a dope card to earn because it's also one of the greatest moments in NBA history as well. So I mean, the Knicks haven't played a game since last Sunday. So I had people at my house last Sunday to watch the game, and we're watching it not knowing what the hell's going to go on with the Cleveland Detroit series. So I did not think that series would go 7. I actually thought Detroit would end them in maybe 6 the most. Once the Cleveland Detroit series, once Cleveland took the 3-2 lead to get back to Cleveland, I'm feeling even more confident now that the Knicks are going to be able to beat either one of those teams. I feel that inside my gut. I feel like the Knicks are going to be able to handle either one of those two teams, and it was Cleveland now. So I'm not scared of Cleveland at all. I know some people are scared of Cleveland because of the offensive side of the basketball. Detroit did struggle outside of Cade Cunningham coming up with some sort of consistent game plan, and Detroit did struggle coming up with a consistent game plan and to get other guys on the offense to score the basketball. That's why I kind of would have favored Detroit just a little bit more. And I think that sentiment was going around New York Knicks fans at the time, right? Cleveland presents a little bit more of an offensive threat. Although it's an inconsistent offensive threat, Cleveland does give you that offensive punch that I don't think Detroit was going to be able to give you. Cleveland's extremely sloppy with the basketball. The New York Knicks should be able to take well advantage of that. If you remember the playoff series a couple of years ago, Mitchell Robinson completely dominated Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley by himself in the postseason, and that was also another playoff series that a lot of experts picked the New York Knicks to lose. That wasn't the case. The Knicks won that series as well against Cleveland. That was Brunson's first big-time series as a New York Knick in the postseason. So Detroit went 7 with Orlando, so they struggled with them. They went 7 with Cleveland. I wouldn't have mind playing Detroit coming off of back-to-back 7-game series, but it just didn't work out. So Knicks Cleveland, the 3 and 4 seed. This just kind of brings me back to the original point that I've been having in my videos prior to this. I was one of the last few people to hang on to the NBA regular season like it means something. And if you're on the opposite side of that, this postseason is just proving you more and more to be right, because you look at Detroit winning 60 games, you look at Boston looking dominant at times, the number 1 and 2 seeds in the Eastern Conference, and then you have the Knicks as the number 3 seed and Cleveland as the number 4 seed, both about to play in the Eastern Conference Finals. All season, I was screaming and I was yelling about the Pistons and the Celtics, and the Knicks aren't going to have to play any of them to have a shot to get to the NBA Finals. So if that doesn't tell the story of the NBA regular season not meaning a thing anymore, I don't know how else to explain it to people. All you have to do is just coast your way through the regular season, kick it into high gear come postseason time, and then you can make your run as a team. Although it is a little dangerous to do something like that, the Knicks are a veteran team that could kind of get away with that. So hopefully the New York Knicks did flip that switch after Game 3 in Atlanta. Let me shout out a couple of people. Air of Grace in the chat. Thank you, David. Car Pigs in the chat. Festine, I think the Knicks will win it in 5. Yeah, man, I'm going to say 6 because I'm trying to give Donovan Mitchell the respect of he could probably single-handedly win Cleveland at least 1 game minimum. So, I mean, I'll say 6. I could see it ending in 5. I don't want to say it's going to be a sweep. I think that'll be a little disrespectful to Donovan Mitchell. I really do like Donovan Mitchell. Everything coming full circle for the Knicks at this point was a few years ago, Donovan Mitchell requested a trade to the New York Knicks, and Leon Rose and the Knicks did everything in their power to try and get Donovan Mitchell here. And Danny Ainge is a complete jerk and a complete buffoon, and he would not give Donovan Mitchell his wish to come to the Knicks, all because of his hatred for the New York Knicks. The Knicks offered, I think, upwards of 4 or 5 first-round picks at the time. He asked for 7 or 8, and the Knicks were like, come on, what are we doing at this point? He just did not want to trade Mitchell to the Knicks. Donovan Mitchell is also a huge Mets fan, so shout out to Donovan Mitchell prior to game 1, which I will not be happy about. But and then everything kind of swirled into the Knicks building their team after that. After they couldn't acquire Donovan Mitchell, they started with Brunson. They traded for OG. They traded Randall for Cat. They traded for Josh Hart. They traded all those picks that they were going to use for Donovan Mitchell to go get Mikal Bridges. So you look at what's happening now, a lot of this stuff is kind of built around the Knicks not being able to acquire Donovan Mitchell, who wanted to be a New York Knick. So with all that being said, this is like a pretty cool full circle type of series for having Mitchell, who wanted to be here, and then because of him not being able to come here, everything that the Knicks have built is because of Donovan Mitchell not being able to get here. So I think that's pretty cool. I don't know if anybody else finds that cool or if I'm just a complete nutcase, but the Knicks they're favored by 7.5 in game 1. They're favored in the series. They're minus 180 in the series, if I'm not mistaken, so they should be able to take them. If you look at the most popular bet that people are taking right now is the Cavs is the Knicks to win in 5 games. That seems to be the more popular bet that everybody is taking going into round 3 now. The Eastern Conference Finals. So, and if you look at tonight, just to switch sides. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but there's two really good teams on the Western Conference side. You have the Thunder, who I think the Thunder are in just another complete tier than any of the 3 teams that are left, and then it's the Spurs, the Knicks, and the Cavs kind of in that mix to see if any one of those teams can maybe get lucky and knock off the Thunder and try to win their own championship. So the Thunder and the Spurs kick off tonight. They should be kicking off. They probably kicked off already. We'll get to the score in a couple of minutes. But yeah, if you're a Knicks fan, this is one of the most exciting, this is one of the most thrilling times of being a Knicks fan over the last 25 years, because 25 years of New York Knicks basketball, if you're one of the original ones from the Marbury years, from the Antonio McDyess, the Eddie Curry, the Frank Ntilikina, if you're one of those people that have lived through it all, if you lived through the Andrea Bargnani years, if you lived through the Ron Baker years, if you lived through the Vin Baker years, the Michael Sweetney years, if you had to sit there and watch the Knicks consistently win between 15 to 30 games a year, and it happened. If you just don't know, just Google it. If you didn't live through those 2000s, and if you didn't live through the 2010s, aside from the couple of Carmelo years, if you didn't live through those years, you wouldn't understand what this currently means to New York Knicks fans. Now, the fans that lived in the 90s always say they shout out those teams. I was too young to kind of appreciate those teams. Not saying I'm a young guy, because I'm not. I'm 36. But I was kind of too young to appreciate those 90s teams, so I'll never be able to fully grasp the feeling of those 90s teams. And that's the teams everybody harps back on, although people kind of harp back on them a little bit because they didn't really win anything. It's just the most success that we've seen since people saw the championships in the 70s. So if we look at just a couple of things. David says, I came in just now. Have you touched it? Yeah, James Harden has been one of the more inconsistent players in NBA playoff history. And I think this is his first NBA. This is his first conference finals, if I'm not mistaken. This is definitely something that the Knicks could be able to take advantage of. The fact that James Harden is one of the more inconsistent players when it comes to postseason basketball. He could be a turnover machine. The Knicks have to do a great job of take advantage of that. The Knicks are the number one. The Knicks are the number one defensive team in the NBA postseason right now, and it's absolutely amazing to watch. Right, they're switching on defense amazingly. They have hands up. They're contesting a lot of basketballs. They're getting in the passing lanes. They're blocking a lot of shots, and this all goes back to OG being healthy, which he will be for game 1, and Mitchell Robinson staying healthy. He has to stay healthy because those guys are the anchors when it comes to the defensive side of the basketball. So I need Bo Bichette to get a hit here. If you're not a baseball fan, if you're not following the Mets, Bo Bichette has been really, really disappointing for the Mets this year. So Bichette, he's been very disappointing. Lendog says, "Oh my God, Thunder 0 points until 8:43." Do they still do the thing, the Thunder, where they don't sit down until the team makes a basket, or is that just a college thing? I thought that Oklahoma City did that, if I'm not mistaken. Stephanie says hello. Jay Quad says Knicks in 6. That has a nice ring to it. Throughout the year, we were all saying Knicks in 26, right? That kind of has a nice ring to it too. The parade would be crazy. Let's not. I don't even get that deep into it because, but like I said before, man, if you didn't live and Paulie said Chris Dudley, a couple of minutes ago, oh shit, Bichette just homered. Let's go. Yeah, Bo Bichette, yeah, woohoo. Bo Bichette just homered. Hell just froze over. Pigs just flew. So, Mets up 5-3. Good for them. We need to get more consistently after coming off the Subway Series here. Excuse me. If you've been at the Garden too, and you know the best thing, and just circling back to the point I made before about Knicks fans that lived through the last 25 years. If you, I pray for people. Just do this for me if you can tonight. If you want to see how dedicated New York Knicks fans are, go back to the 2017, 2018, or 2008 or 2015. Go back to one of those. Just Google one of the worst years that the Knicks have had, right? They won 17 games a couple of times in the last 20 years. Just Google their worst record. And if you go up to pick a game 50 games into the season when the Knicks are like 30 games under 500, the Garden is still packed the hell out, even when the Knicks are bad. You got the Langston Galloways of the world, the Michael Doliaks of the world, the Othella Harringtons of the world. The Garden is packed. And when you hear, I just watched this. There was a game against my head is made of wood, so it doesn't matter if I smack it. There was a game against, it was either Washington or I think the Nets at the time. The Knicks were on their way to like 15, 16 wins. Last month of the season, the Garden was so loud in a close game in the fourth quarter, even though the Knicks were atrociously embarrassing all season long. That's how dedicated that this fan base is. Nothing brings New York City together like the New York Knicks. Not Yankees, Mets, not Giants, Jets, not the Liberty, not anything that you could, not hockey. Nothing brings this city closer than when the New York Knicks are competitive. And especially, you've seen over the last couple of years, they're burning things down when the Knicks win playoff games. I don't condone that. I don't think it's smart. I think it's really stupid. But you see how this city is going to react to this Knicks team when they were bad. You're seeing it now when they're competitive and they're good, because Knicks fans are some of the smartest fans in basketball. They are some of the smartest fans in basketball. So they know when the team's playing hard. They know when they're mailing it in. They know when the guys just had to collect a paycheck. That's just what happens for the New York Knicks fan. And Paulie says it's located in the heart of the city. Yes, right in the city, MSG. Got to get back there. But these playoff prices are disgusting. I saw the cheapest ticket for nosebleed seats at MSG for game one was around $750. So it's wild to me that these prices are like that. But I mean, they're selling, so that's why the prices are going to stay like that as long as people buy them. So I wrote this down. I wrote the top 10 players down in the series. Let me get to this really quickly. I write things down so I don't forget them in my notes, because I have to make sure that I All right. So going into game one against the Cavaliers, the top 10 players in the series that I think are the top 10 players in the series, personally, you could have your own list. It doesn't matter. It's perfectly fine. I think Jalen Brunson's the number one player in the series. Yes. And that's over into the number two player that I have is Donovan Mitchell. I think Brunson is just the most clutch player in the entire league. So that also puts him over the Donovan Mitchell being number two. I think OG Anunoby is number three. I don't know if there's a more important two-way player in basketball than OG Anunoby is to the New York Knicks. If you look at the initial trade when we traded RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly for OG Anunoby, people were flipping out. They were saying, "What's going on? What are we doing? Why are we traded? What's going on? Why are you trading RJ Barrett?" You just acquired one of the more important players in the entire league in OG Anunoby. And if you look at the record that the Knicks have, it's like a 68 or 69 nice percent winning percentage when OG Anunoby's in the lineup. It's absolutely, you can't argue it how great that is. I have Karl Anthony Towns as my number four player, Evan Mobley as my number five, Mitchell Robinson as my number six, Mikal Bridges based on his recent play is number seven, Josh Hart eight, Jared Allen nine, and then surprisingly, I have Deuce McBride number 10. We were what the hell was going on last week? Last week, I think on this stream or one of the streams, we were talking about how important Deuce McBride was to the Knicks and his play being able to elevate the Knicks either coming off the bench or filling in for an injured OG Anunoby. So once OG went down, we knew it was either going to be Clarkson or Deuce coming off the bench to start for the Knicks. So in game three, it happened to be Deuce. And then in game four, you saw the impact of a Deuce McBride hitting 7 threes. He hit three immediately in the first quarter, just gutting the Philadelphia 76ers. And Philadelphia, God help Philadelphia. Josh Hart is spot on. It is one of the worst sports cities in the entire sport landscape. They are Eagles fans only. They are front running fans when it comes to the Phillies. I don't even know how many people go and watch the 76ers. I don't know how they feel about the Flyers, but they are the most front running city that you could find in sports. And you saw how quickly they turned on their Sixers once the Knicks came in there and took over 80% of that buildings in game four. They took over 60% of it in game three, and then everybody just completely sold their tickets to New York Knicks fans in game four. It sounded like MSG South or MSG West. I don't know which direction is Philadelphia on the compass. North, south, east. One of those. Whatever direction it is, that's what it sounded like. MSG, whatever direction. So that, I mean, it was so glorious to watch. It was so amazing to watch. Watch them all walk home. It was beautiful. Um, so yeah, that was my top 10 list. And another thing about the captain, Jalen Brunson. Another thing about the captain is, you know, all these people, all these experts, when it comes to Brunson, everybody is better than Jalen Brunson until it's time to perform like Jalen Brunson. So, just a couple of quick examples of a couple of players that everybody crowned ahead of Jalen Brunson right away. The first one being an outstanding young talent in Cade Cunningham. Outstanding young talent. Game 7 yesterday against the Cavaliers, 0 for 7 from 3, 13 points, non-existent. Do you think Jalen Brunson's doing that in a game 7 on his home court? I don't think so. That's not happening. Tyrese Maxey, another player that people put over, another player that people put over Jalen Brunson. You saw what happened with Tyrese Maxey. So everybody's better than Jalen Brunson until it's time to play like Jalen Brunson. So that's exactly what the case was, and Brunson just continues to show people. Oh shit! Brunson just continues to show people that he is one of the better players in the entire sport. So, did I do that? I like the fun comments, Paulie. Those are really fun. But it's fun. So yeah, the Knicks being able to switch this series is going to be pivotal. And another thing, like one of the last points that I'll make about this series was was the rest. Is it better to have the rest, or is it better to not have the rest? And if you just look at the facts and if you look at the statistics and the percentages of guys who have had the more rest in the NBA recently, if teams have 3 days rest or more going into a series where the team that they're playing, Cleveland, played in a 7 game series, that team wins 68% of the time. And that list is just continues to grow, that percentage. Um, if a team has 7 days, or now this is the Knicks scenario, if a team has 7 days rest or more playing a team that just came off of a 7 game series, which is the Cavs and the Knicks, that team goes up 7% more. So you're looking up the mid to high 70 percentage for the New York Knicks to win this series. So the rest definitely helps. The Knicks are a veteran team. I don't see um, I don't see the rest being a problem for guys because like Brunson could always use a couple of days off. The way that Josh Hart plays, he could always use a couple of days off. Um, the way that Mitchell Robinson plays, he could always use a couple of days off. Cat, the rest was outstanding for OG Anunoby, who pulled his hamstring and he had the grade 1. Having these 10 days off afforded him the time to kind of not have to rush back on the court. And the Knicks were able to sweep Philly and give OG the time to recover and be able to get back here in time for game 1 at home against Cleveland. So you have Cleveland coming off of a game 7, and gearing up for the game 7 definitely cost. Gearing up for the game 7 definitely spelled a lot of energy, but the actual game 7 didn't really look like it took a lot of energy. But coming from Detroit, not being able to go back to Cleveland, they took the plane straight from Detroit right to New York. So, I mean, there should be things where there should be the advantage here for the Knicks. They should have the advantage. I know people will say the rhythm, Cleveland will be in the rhythm. I don't think that'll be the case. I really don't think that'll be the case. It's a pivotal play here in the Met game. Oh, frick. All right. Let's go. We'll do a check on the opposite side here. Talk about the East so much. Let's talk about the Thunder and the Spurs. Let's check out what is the score here. Yes, I mean the Thunder. I don't. I want to believe, like it goes back to the point I said before about the NBA regular season, right? No team played the Oklahoma City Thunder better. No team played the Oklahoma City Thunder better than the San Antonio Spurs did all season long. So if there's any team that has a shot to beat the Thunder prior to the NBA Finals, it'll be the San Antonio Spurs. And if they don't do it, and like this, the Thunder just roll through them, I don't see another team being able to beat the Thunder. I want to tell you it's the Knicks. I want to believe that it's the Knicks. I just don't see it, man. The Thunder are just a machine, a well-oiled machine that don't seem to have a bad day. And you rarely see them have a bad day. That's why they're so good. 1 second. Like then a team again, I always go back to the team that has to play the Thunder have to play their A+ game. And can you do that? Can a team do that for 4 games in a 7 game series? I don't know. I truly don't know. To beat the Thunder once, it takes a lot because this is a team that just doesn't have off days when you watch them play. They don't have off days. They don't have bad days. They got more than one guy. They got a back-to-back MVP in SGA. They got more than one guy that could shoot the 3, help carry the team. They're outstanding defensively, although the Knicks have played a better brand of defense over the first couple of rounds. I'd like to see the version of the New York Knicks that we're used to now go up against the Thunder, but we got to get through Cleveland first. We can't get ahead of ourselves. We definitely can't get ahead of it because once you look ahead, Cleveland will be up 3-2 before we even know it, and then we'll be like, well, how the hell are we gonna beat Thunder when we can't even get past Cleveland? David says both teams are deep and on the Thunder and Spurs. Yeah, both teams have great starting five, a good bench. The Knicks have a good five and a good bench as well. Cleveland is a little less deep than all those other teams, but once you get down to these Final Four, man, it just gets hectic, it gets wild, it gets crazy. Shots get a little bit more, guys get a little bit more tight. So you see who shows up, and the Thunder already have the championship pedigree. There is multiple superstar players aside from the Thunder that are trying to win their first NBA championship. You look at a guy like Wemby, who it's only his second year in the league, and he's looking to win a championship already. Close enough. You look at a guy like Jalen Brunson or Cat, who have been in the league for so many years. And then you also have Donovan Mitchell and James Harden, who are chasing their first championship and who have been in the league. James Harden, 15 years, 16 years, all looking for their first championship. So, again, man, I got the Knicks winning this series in 6. I think they'll close it out in Cleveland for Game 6. I think they win the first 2 games at home. And if the Knicks really want to end this thing quickly, they'll win the first 2 games at home. Then they'll split in Cleveland and then just win Game 5 back at MSG. That'll be how you win the series in 5. I could see Cleveland stealing a road game in Game 5 or Games 1 and 2. That shouldn't make Knicks fans panic if Cleveland steals one of the first 2 games at MSG. Don't panic because this team has shown that they're resilient. They're a veteran team that shows that they can bounce back very quickly from adversity. So let's see what the Knicks do tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. I think it's on Peacock, if I'm not mistaken, 8 p.m. as we alternate the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference every single day for the next 7 days or the next however many days. So, guys, if you joined, again, thank you so much for joining the live every single Monday. 8:30 most every single Monday, 8:30 most Mondays, unless I do a little time change, but I let people know. If you haven't followed me on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter, it is Pudgy Boys Sports Talk. Pudgy Boys is with a Z, not an S. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the channel today. I appreciate it, and I love all you guys. Thank you.